Another lesson with me, Manil, here on Unacademy's YouTube channel for IELTS. And as always, I am back with another video that will help you perform better on your IELTS test. So, what are we doing in this video? Now, this video is the first in a 4-part series where we will be learning 21 new words for you to perform better on the IELTS test. Now, I know we've already done a lot of words and everyone's teaching a lot of words. So how is this any different? Well, in all honesty, this is not any different. I mean, these are words, right? They're part of the English language. But that being said, these are words which are helpful, which are relevant, and not just unnecessary words that you can randomly just use and apply anywhere. So even when you learn these 21 words, the expectation is that you'll understand these words and use them only there where they're absolutely necessary. Not that just because you know those 21 words, so you'll randomly use them anywhere. Okay. So how is it going to work out? So like I said, it's part 1 of a 4-part series. So today we have 2 lessons and then tomorrow we have 2 lessons. Each lesson is for half an hour. In the first lesson, I'm going to pick up 5 words. In the second lesson, I'm again going to pick up 5 words. Third lesson will once again see 5 words. And in the fourth lesson, we'll be learning 6 words, giving you a total of 21 words to learn over 2 days and across 4 lessons. How will we go about learning these words? We will first learn the word, its spelling, its meaning, and then we will look at sample sentences to understand its exact usage. If there is anything else that I can add for a particular word, I will be very happy to do so for you. Now, before we get to that, what I'd like to let you know is that first, my name is Manil Agarwal, right? And I am an Unacademy Plus tutor on the app. So I'm sure you all already know what is Unacademy, correct? I'm pretty confident that the fact that you are here on the channel means you know of Unacademy. Now, I'm sure you also know that Unacademy is an app that can be downloaded from the Play Store and the Apple iPhone Store and the iStore on Apple for free, right? And then you can register to the platform for free again. Thereafter, you can also start attending a lot of free classes where we have live streams just like this, just as how we are conducting this live stream here on YouTube. We do the same on the app itself. What's the difference? There are 2. One, the overall layout of everything is a lot better. Okay. 2, things are a lot more instant. So here what happens on YouTube is I speak and then it reaches you about 12 to 15 seconds later. So there's a lot of gap between I speaking, you hearing, then you responding, and then I responding to whatever question you ask. As a result, a lot of times we will not be able to cover I may not be able to answer your questions, or things may fall out of shape. But on the app, in these live streams, things are instant. You can hear me as I speak. There is no lag between I speaking and you hearing me. Also, you can ask me your questions just as you can ask me your questions here on YouTube. But again, because there is no lag, there is limited time gap. So things are in a lot more shape. I can understand, I can hear, and I can read your messages and respond to them faster. The class does not really lose shape. Things stay in order. And as a result, you learn a lot better. So make sure that you download that app and start watching the published videos and attending these free live lessons. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so sorry about that. So, but within Unacademy, like I said, I'm an Unacademy Plus educator. Within Unacademy, there is another platform on the app itself. You don't need to download anything else, called Plus. What is Plus? Plus is like any other academy that you would attend anywhere else in the world. Okay, you pay a fees and you start attending lessons with the tutor. Now, what happens is on the free part of the platform, there are classes conducted every once in a while. It's like I do 5 free lessons in a month over there. Okay, but in those 5 free lessons, I will not cover your course for you. It's not possible. It's not possible to cover the whole course in those 5 free lessons. So what happens is you do need proper guidance. You need that somebody should take you from point A to point B, in which your complete preparation for the IELTS test is done, and that you can go appear for the test with full confidence and score the desired band score in one go. Okay, so that is something that happens on Unacademy Plus. Now, on Unacademy Plus, educators such as I and others, we offer properly structured and scheduled courses. All right, and each of these classes is scheduled for a fixed time. So, like for example, I do my classes for 1 hour every Monday to Friday. So you will know when is the class, what is the topic, and I will take you right from the beginning all the way to the end and make sure that you're ready for the test in time. So that is what Unacademy Plus does. So for example, so I on Unacademy Plus have an IELTS course which is 3 weeks long. All right, and on top of that, the classes are Monday to Friday, right? So this is how it works on the platform. Now, when you subscribe for the Unacademy Plus platform, you can attend all my lessons. You can attend all my lessons, and you can attend all lessons offered by all tutors on Unacademy Plus in the same fees for IELTS, not other subjects. For IELTS, you'll be able to attend all of those lessons. So for a month, you pay an amount of 2,700 rupees. For 3 months, you pay an amount of 6,000 rupees, 6,600 rupees. I'll give you a code called Manil Live. It is one single word, Manil Live, and that will give you a 10% discount on this price. So that will reduce it to 2,430 rupees and 6,000 for 3 months. If your English is weak, go for the 3-month subscription. If your English is good, then go straight for the 1-month subscription. All right. So yeah, let's get this started. We'll probably come back to this, spend a little more time understanding Unacademy Plus at the end of the lesson. For now, let's go straight to the 21 words that we are learning today. Like I said, this lesson we'll be learning 5 new words. We'll look at the word, its meaning, sample usage. All right. So the first word that we are looking at today is repertoire. I repeat, okay, repertoire. Now, please pay attention. The spelling is REPERTOIRE. Now, a lot of people will, of course, on the first go, they'll go repertoire, right? Everyone tends to do that. That's fine. It's actually a French word that has been adopted into English. But the correct pronunciation is repertoire. So please repeat with me, repertoire. Repertoire. Even if you say repertoire, it's fine. Okay, repertoire. So please again, repertoire. So this R is silent. You won't go repertoire. It will be repertoire. And what does it mean? It is a collection of skills or accomplishments for an individual, for an organization. It could be for anyone. Now, let me explain. Let me put up a sample sentence for you to understand this better. His repertoire includes singing, athletics. His repertoire of skills includes, actually of skills is not necessary, but then a lot of people tend to do this. His repertoire of skills includes singing, athletics, dancing, and I don't know, computing. Right? So what we are trying to say is his repertoire means the collection of something, right? For example, he has a huge repertoire of his repertoire of jokes. No, not really. That's not really how you do. His repertoire of skills again includes the ability to crack amazing jokes, cook brilliant food, and entertain people every evening. So in a way, the word repertoire also means collection, but it is used in most cases for skills or accomplishments. All right, we don't really use it for anything else. That being said, a lot of people, you'll find them, and it's not incorrect. You'll also hear them using repertoire for negative skills, for negative traits. Right, his repertoire of a disease includes not using his brain, not applying logic, and talking unnecessarily. So that is also possible. That is also doable. Now, moving on to the next word, parameter. Now, there are two ways to say the same word, parameter, parameter. Both of them are fine. It's okay. Go with either. Guys, want to let you know. The IELTS test is not too finicky about how you pronounce your. See, of course, it is important how you pronounce your words, but it's not like, oh, I have to go with the American pronunciation, or oh, I have to go with the British pronunciation. Does not make any difference. You can go with either. You can go with either, as long as when you say parameter, it sounds like parameter and it does not sound like something like garometer or parameter or pathometer. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you get the gist of what I'm trying to say, right? You can't parameter. A lot of people are not able to say T clearly, right? Because they end up, they smoke a lot. A lot of smokers have this problem. They're not able to say the word T clearly because the throat is constantly irritated and there's a lot of cough. So that gets in the way of saying the word T clearly. So make sure that when you go for the test, drink some water, clear your throat, right? Probably if possible, don't smoke for a couple of days. In any case, that's a great thing to do. Don't smoke, right? Don't smoke for, forget 2 days, forever. So parameter, parameter, either way is fine. Parameter is a characteristic or constant factor, right? A parameter is something that when you're doing something, or when you're calculating something, or when you are trying to assess something, there is one factor which is constantly there, right? Like for example, if we are talking about the IELTS test, right? The only parameter while assessing your writing test that matters is logic. Actually, no, that is wrong. That is not true. Is one way. So the only parameter. So basically, logic is your parameter. All right. Sorry, 1 second. So your parameter is logic. So this thing is constant. This one matters. Whether you're able to make by logic. Please, guys, another thing. Logic does not mean fact. Logic means the ability to put things together and make a clear picture of something, right? Be able to present things in such a manner that the person listening to you can understand what you're saying. Whether they agree with you or not is a different thing, but they understand what you're saying. So it is logical, right? Or you can also understand what is being said, or you can collect information and make sense of it, right? So that is what it means to be logical or to use logic. So logic is the parameter here, right? Another thing, wind shear is a very important parameter for pilots to monitor while landing. So wind shear is when the wind suddenly picks up, right? And that can force the plane to go off the runway or take a dip. That is a wind shear. So that is one other parameter. Okay. For example, another example of this is your height is a parameter that plays very important role in your selection in the basketball team, right? So parameter is a factor, one factor. So another way of saying factor is parameter. But the thing is, factor in itself may not necessarily be constant, but parameter is always there. Unless of course you do a complete overhaul and change, and that's a different thing. But otherwise, once a parameter has been established, it will always be there. Okay, a factor may be present or may not be present in certain cases, but a parameter will always be there. Next, aspect. So aspect. Now aspect is a very interesting word. Okay, it basically means a quality, part, or element. All right, a quality, part, or element of anything, any item, any activity that we are talking of. So this can be two. It can be a tangible aspect, there can be an intangible aspect. What do I mean by tangible and intangible? Tangible is something that you can touch. Intangible is something that you cannot touch. Okay. So tangible is something that you can touch. Intangible is something that you cannot touch. So there are tangible aspects to a thing, and then there are intangible aspects to a thing. Okay. So for example, let's say arriving on time is a definite aspect to finishing on time. Springs are an important aspect of making springboards. Pardon me for the bad handwriting. But arriving on time is a definite part to finishing online on time. Springs are an important aspect of making springboards. So you see, arriving on time is one aspect here and springs is another aspect. Now usually you use aspect for the intangible elements or quality. So it's usually for the intangible, but at times you might hear people use it for tangible items as well, which is okay. It's not a big deal, but try and restrict it to the intangibles. Next one, dynamic. Now this is a word I'm sure a lot of you have already heard, probably also use, but that being said, not too many actually understand how to use it. So dynamic is something which is always active or changing. Now this is a word that if you're particularly working and if you're working with a boss who talks a lot and does very little, you'll constantly hear them using the word dynamic, right? In fact, there is a joke. The moment you hear the word dynamic in a corporate meeting, you know that for a fact that this meeting has nothing productive to present. All right, and so dynamic means something that is always changing or moving, active, changing, moving, right? So active is also moving. So it not something which is at rest is dynamic. So for example, the earth is dynamic as it is changing every moment. The whole situation is very dynamic right now. As new things are happening every minute. She lives a dynamic life, moving from place to place and trying new things every day. All right. Now, the joke in the corporate is when the person says, "Oh, our company is a very dynamic company, and things are always changing." That means that you probably asked this person for something, and the person definitely does not have is certainly not going to do this. So they'll give you this whole jizz around dynamic, but how everything's dynamic and things change, and if they're not in your favor today, they'll be in your favor tomorrow, and the tomorrow never comes, of course. Anyways, moving on. Our last word for the day. So let's see, what have we done already? Repertoire, parameter, aspect, dynamic, and the fifth one is domain. All right, a domain is a field of action, thought, or influence. An alternate definition is an area of knowledge. Now what does that mean? I know that's the definition that it's supposed to mean something, but then of course it can be a little difficult. So a domain is a space, an area or a field in which you are active, or where you know something, right? Where you apply your thought, or where you hold some sort of an influence, or if not you, anybody, right? For example, so let's look at, I'm just looking at this definition right now. The southern forests are the domain of the Gir lions. So what does that mean? That is an area where the Gir lions sort of dominate, right? Within that range, within that area, they are the ones who basically hold influence. So if somebody else tries to, some other big animal, big cat tries to walk in, let's say a tiger or let's say a leopard were to try and dominate that area, the lion would kill them. Okay, so that is their domain. Or the domain of the snow leopard is the upper Himalayas where there's a lot of snow. Alternately, right? So this is where you're showing action, where you're showing influence. In terms of thought, uh, Java and C++ are my domains, not like mine, like I just mean my as generally, are my domains of uh, development and research. Right, so that sort of shows that this is an area in which you hold knowledge, in which you hold thought. Okay, this is where you operate. So these are two ways of looking at the words. This is the way you look at the word domain. Right. So those were domain could also mean, now in the modern era, domain could also mean the web address. Right. So for example, if you look at www.unacademy.com, right? So that too is a domain. So this is also called a domain, all right? So your web address is also called a domain. Now, those are the 5 words for today. Let's look at these again. So we did repertoire. Please pay attention to the pronunciation. It's repertoire. Then, which means basically a collection of skills or accomplishments. Then we looked at parameter, as you wish to call it. The only so it's basically a factor which is constant while doing something. Okay. Aspect, like I said, it's a quality or a part or an element of doing something or of any entity. And mostly it is used for an intangible aspect or for an intangible quality or element. At times it can also be used for the, so sorry about that, tangibles. And then we looked at dynamic. Dynamic is basically a word that shows that things are constantly moving or changing, right? And the final word we learned was domain. Domain is an area where you have influence or thought or knowledge or action. Also, at the same time, it also can show your web address in the modern world. Now, this is the first, like I said, the first of the 4 parts. Make sure you're joining me for the other 3. And also, if now that you've watched this video and that you've learned about Unacademy Plus and the app, make sure you're joining me there. Download the app, start attending the free lessons, and on top of that, subscribe to Unacademy Plus so that you can have thorough and complete preparation for your IELTS test. And like I said, use Manil Live, one word, to get your subscription so that you can get 10% discount while subscribing. If your English is weak, go for 3 months. If your English is strong, go for 1 month and you'll be ready for the test. My course is the IELTS course of 3 weeks. Classes are taught from Monday to Friday. So alright guys, thank you for joining me for this lesson. I'll see you in about 10 minutes for the next one. If you're watching this published video, go straight to part 2 and you'll be able to learn the next 5 words. Alright guys, remember for IELTS, keep it simple and stick to the basics. Goodbye.